So welcome back everyone to another episode of Chat with Dan. Here joining me today, what can I say? We have on the show the incredible, the amazing, the badass, the superstar, the legendary, the one and only, the incredible Hanna. Hanna, how are you today?
I'm fantastic now after having such an intro.
There you go. Pretty epic. What better way to have an incredible, super badass Tuesday than to be chatting with someone as badass as you? You know what I mean?
Hell yeah.
If you're new to the channel, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, follow. It helps a lot. But also in the description below, you're gonna find all of Hanna's social media. Let's follow her. Let's share some love, and let's find out why she's super badass. We're on a mission right now. And without further ado, let's jump in. So, I want to start this whole conversation by throwing out the very first question, which is, what initially drew you to acting in the first place? Was there, I don't know, a performance, a film, something that sparked the whole thing to make you realize, you know what, this is where my passion begins now?
It was a pretty distinct moment, actually. It was really, really young. I was like every young girl. You come out of the womb like dancing and singing and just flailing around and doing that sort of thing and talking everybody's ears off. And so, yeah, I mean, that was me. But then it wasn't until like I started watching some movies. Like I watched a lot of Narnia as a kid. I watched that movie all over and over. And, as a kid, you're really into like fantasy stuff. And so I was like, how is it possible that these people are doing all these crazy magical things? And then I learned about acting, and I was like, well, that sounds pretty awesome. Count me in, where you and adults and everybody are working together to do these crazy things. So got into my mom was gracious enough to put me into a theater camp as a kid. And I mean, it wasn't easy for her to make me like a child star because I had three other brothers that she had to take care of. So she just did her best. She put me in a camp, and I was only 9, but I was giving it my all. And then at some point, the director said to my mom, like, she's found what she's meant to do. And of course, I was like, oh my God, I have found it sparked as soon as I got my first direction, like, hey, try doing it this way. I was like, this is fascinating. And I felt invigorated, more invigorated than as much as a 9-year-old could feel. And I was just hooked from the start. And I thought it was really cool that all these people, older people and young people like me were coming together to like make this cool pretend stuff happen. I don't know, it was just perfect. And then I never lost it. It was really the only passion. It's really the main passion I've had my whole life. I've tried to find other hobbies because growing up, people always tell you should probably find something else that you enjoy because this is not the most stable career path. And so I did. I tried, but nothing really stood up to just the experience of acting. So here I am.
And once you decided, to make this as a career, so you started to go to acting school, things like that. But tell me, what were some of the stereotypes that you had to encounter in order to continue moving forward in your career?
Yeah, as soon as I started telling people I want to be an actor when I grow up, I met with that stuff a lot, And I understand and I appreciated all the warnings that people were giving me because it really did help going into it, not being like having people butter me up too much, giving me reality checks because it really did, I think, help me not expect unrealistic things out of it. I think I went into it with a pretty practical mindset already, so I had all the warnings people were giving me, and I didn't go to college. I made that choice. I realized I didn't want to spend my time in school when I could be working finally once I had reached adulthood. And so I made that choice, and that wasn't a very popular choice where I'm from. It was sort of frowned upon by a lot of people. So there was that mixed with seeing people from my hometown. I'm kind of from a smaller town, and so everyone I knew, they were going to college and they were doing these very tangible things that we're accustomed to celebrating. Like, congratulations to my kid for getting to college, or congratulations to my kid for getting this and that thing happen. I don't know. But there were things that I knew I was never going to experience. And so sometimes it would get me down knowing my family was never going to be able to like easily say, hey, congratulations to our daughter Hannah for, I mean, they could say booking such and such role, but when you're talking to people who aren't in the industry, unless you're like working across from Brad Pitt, they don't really know. Have we seen you in anything? And it's just a lot to explain when you're a lower tiered actor, I suppose. But then I don't know. I kind of got over it when I started booking more consistently and having all this fun on set and realizing it doesn't really matter what they're thinking of me or what they're thinking of my journey is. I just realized that I'm totally succeeding in my own eyes because I'm enjoying what I'm doing. And that's such a rare thing for
Mm.
anybody to find, is to enjoy what you actually do. So
And
yeah,
how,
now I'm having a great time.
yeah. And how tough was it for kind of strip away this idea to please everyone?
Yeah, that that one's a hard one because I'm definitely a people pleaser at my core. I really want to be the kind of woman who can say, screw this. I don't care what you think. I'm going to do my own thing. That's really hard for me. It's had to happen. I've done a lot of things now that I've become an adult that have I made like bolder choices that people have just had to deal with, whether it's my family or whatever. But honestly, it's all worked out. Things are usually not as bad as you expect them to be when you go for something. I'm actually self-represented right now, so I have to stand up for myself a lot in terms of like my boundaries and what I'm going to allow myself to do and like the business side of it. And so just throwing myself into it and like closing my eyes while I hit send on a message, it gets me through it, and the more you do it, the easier it becomes.
How tough has it been to settle your boundaries since you are not represented?
I'm doing pretty good, like in the acting world in a way, but in the same time, it is hard not knowing where your next paycheck is going to come from after you finished, your last project. So, especially if you come across an instance, which I'm literally dealing with right now, is I have this really cool opportunity, this really cool high paying opportunity that I would just love to have, but upon reading the script, I realized it does have stuff in it that I don't know if I can bring myself to do. So I'm constantly battling what's going to be worth it or like how flexible they might be. And so it's also having lots of hard conversations like, I really would love to work with you, but how flexible are you guys on like changing things or not changing things? And no, it doesn't really go away because you don't want to lose out on an opportunity to get a job. You just never do. But once the thing is that once I make a decision and I send it and we say, oh, sorry, I guess we can't work together, better luck next time, whatever it is. Once it's passed, I'm pretty good about just forgetting about it. There is no feedback or like, thanks for coming in, because it's just a tape. So once I send it, it's out of my brain, it's done. For my own sanity, it has to be that way. So something I'm used to now.
And was there a moment when things looked successful from the outside, but felt quite heavy on the inside?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple eras in my life where it was heavy, but not because of acting. Acting's never done me wrong. Acting's always been more of an escape, if anything. But there's been some times where on the outside I am booking and I'm doing these cool things, but personal life is heavy. This has nothing to do with acting necessarily, but it is kind of a funny story because it relates to that. Because when I think I was just coming out of high school, and that was when COVID was happening. And I made this silly little TikTok. I'm not a content creator. I just happened to make this TikTok this one time, and it was about like the me putting on my prom dress and getting ready, and COVID sucks, and so I'm gonna just go out into a romantic little park and dance with my boyfriend at the time, and that went viral. They got 8 million views. So that was like really cool, and I'd never experienced that before. Everybody in the comments were saying like, oh, you're so lucky. That's so much better than prom anyway. Or I wish I had someone who would dance with me in a field and things like that. Little did they know that that day was like awful. Pretty much, it was like I rushed all day. I had a big argument. I was crying. And I was like, oh, of course, my one awful, horrendous day is the one that went viral that people are so jealous of me of. So that was kind of like a wake up call to how I should be perceiving media that I see. So, and then of course, like when I started doing verticals, actually, that was a weird time in my life because stuff was happening behind the scenes. That was my other darker era. But that was when I started like booking a lot. It's crazy. Sometimes they coincide, and people just cannot judge my life or anybody's life based on what they're seeing in our work.
How long it took you to get away from that dark era you were in?
Like half a year, every day got better and easier, and now I'm in a spot where everything's weirdly working out. It's like it's kind of strange. I'm kind of waiting for the next bad thing to happen. No, it took like a good half a year or maybe more, depends on how you look at it. But I mean, the jobs were there, the acting was there all through it, and I don't know, it was really my joy. It really made me feel like I'm going to be okay. So you can make fun of verticals all you want, and I will too, but they were there for me in the tough times.
Yeah. So basically that kept you going?
Yeah, I mean that amongst, some very close people to me, of course, but yeah, I mean, I was really grateful that I was able to spend my time surviving off of this thing that I love to do.
Mm.
I felt very lucky in that way.
And what advice could you give to, those who are facing a dark era on their own and had to portray this image that they are fine, knowing that from the inside they're not.
I mean, really, as bad as things might seem, and it was pretty bad for me at the time, it won't last forever. Chances are it won't, and it especially won't if you keep on going. Like if you, I almost didn't take my first job offer that was like a vertical because I was in this place. I actually declined. I said, you know, this is cool, but I'm not in the right headspace for it, so you can go find someone else. And they just happened to be very persistent on that one, and they kept pursuing me, which was kind of crazy to me. And I'm so glad that I changed my mind because I figured, well, I'll just throw myself in and hopefully it'll work out. Hopefully I'll just get over myself. And turns out I did, and maybe that's different for everybody, but don't isolate yourself. I think if you go out there and you start doing things, whatever it is you want to do, it'll get you through it a lot faster.
Switching to our halftime show, super simple speed round questions, yes, no, or pass. So I'm going to ask you a couple of questions in which you can only answer yes, no, or pass. You ready? Have you ever waited weeks for an answer that took seconds to say no?
Yes.
Have you memorized scenes that never made it past the audition room?
Oh, yes.
Have you ever been told you were perfect, but still not right?
Yes.
Have you learned to live with uncertainty better than most people you know?
Yeah, better than a lot of people I know.
Okay. Have you celebrated a win that looked very small to everyone else?
All the time.
Have you questioned your entire path while still loving the craft?
Yes, for sure.
Have you learned to separate rejection from self-worth?
Yes,
Do you think actors develop patience faster than most people?
I would say so. Yeah.
Has acting taught you more about yourself than success did?
Yeah.
Do you believe this journey has made you stronger in quiet ways?
Yes.
And a bonus one, can you cry on cue?
Sometimes.
There you go. Now, returning to our general and normal transmission, tell me, what inner battle do you still face today that people might not see?
I'm really bad at with comparing myself to other people. I don't know why. I feel like all my entire life it's been that way. And it has nothing to do with like disdain or like negative feelings toward the people that I'm seeing. It is purely like an anxiety on myself. So if I see someone else succeeding, it is great for them. I just then feel like I am falling behind or I should be doing something, especially if it comes to like me being in my audition era and I'm not booking yet. And I know I will, it's going to happen, but I haven't yet. But then someone else I know is working, then I feel like I've done something wrong. Even though it may not be logical whatsoever, I'm bad about that. And I actually struggle with like my physical self image all the time because let's be honest, if you're in an industry that focuses so much on the way that you look, and you're in a society that already has these super high standards for women, it's like it's really hard to be truly confident in yourself. And I mean, on the whole, I really am okay. I don't know. I just feel like those things are worth mentioning because it's probably something that most people are going through. And I like to see other people say these things so I don't feel like crazy or I don't feel alone in it. So I do struggle with that very consistently. It's in fact, sometimes I feel bipolar because I'll go from I am awesome, I am so glad, I wouldn't change a thing about me to like I'm doing everything wrong and I need to never eat again or whatever it might be. So it is a constant battle that I don't like post about that type of thing because I guess if I were more of a content creator, I would want to be honest about all these sorts of things. But since I don't have the time for that, I'm just keeping it light. I keep all my successes on my social media, and that's kind of what it's there for. It's just sort of like these are the cool things that happen in my life. So you never know, I guess, but that's me.
Mm. And for example, when you audition for a role, you didn't get the part, then you know that the one who got it is someone you knew. Do you get a little bit jealous or not at all?
Sometimes if it's like a really cool opportunity, then I might be jealous, but for the most part, in my experience when that's happened, it's been unfortunately more like well, what did I do wrong? Or I wonder what it was that they had that I didn't. And of course, that'll oftentimes like translate into like, oh, they probably didn't like the way I looked. I don't know, maybe I should have like worked out more before I did the audition. I don't know, really stupid stuff. Because if anyone else said this to me, I would say this is stupid. This is, that has nothing to do with it. You have no idea what it was. But when it comes to myself, it does automatically go there in my brain. So that's my real take on that.
Okay. Do you celebrate the wins of others or?
Yeah, that's like I will simultaneously be so happy for them. Genuinely, like I'm so happy for the people that I care about getting these successes in their life. It's just at the same time I'm like, that's so good for you. I need to work on myself because I am going through it right now at the same time. It'll be both.
Do you think things happen for a reason somehow?
I really don't know. Sometimes I feel like yes. Sometimes I feel like yes, and sometimes I feel like it's just, it was inevitable because of the things that happened leading up to it.
Do you believe like in destiny, like eventually like we are meant to go somewhere?
I used to think so. I used to think that, and I'm still very, I'm a romantic at heart. I like to think those things for fun sometimes, but going through these like stages in my life where things happened, well, where I thought that I had achieved my destiny. I thought like this is what I meant to do, and then it suddenly changed completely. And I was so sure about like this was destiny, and then it changes, and then something else I never expected happens, and then that kind of made me change my mind, thinking, well, I don't know. Life is really interesting, though. Life throws you curveballs. It's not black and white. It's not as simple as I thought. So I kind of do think you have a lot of control. You have more control than you think in your own life if you're like willing to take the steps.
As your definition of success has evolved, what matters more now than just booking the role?
I am often concerned with making sure that I still love what I do because you kind of have to be careful with if you're gonna make what you love your job, you got to make sure it doesn't just become your job. And I really want that to be the case for the rest of my life. And I got to be careful because I'll find myself complaining about the things that I have to do in my job and how it's like straining me for one reason or another. But I can't let that overtake my love of acting because acting is my one, it's my biggest love, the thing I love to do most. So if I lose that, I don't know what I'm going to do. So I really need to focus on like I look at the positives, and it's not just that. I really do just take a second to step back, like when I'm on set, and just like watch people make this movie magic stuff happen, and remind myself of how excited my younger self would be to know that I'm where I'm at right now, and watching this happen. And I get all giddy inside again, and I don't know. That feeling is like my new definition of success is knowing that I am enjoying my job and I know how special that is. And then like long-term success is like being able to do that, but also knowing that I have the freedom to to not be stuck in one place. I have the freedom to spend time with my loved ones. I love movies that actually make me stop thinking that acting is a thing. Okay, let me explain that. I like movies and watching and taking media that make me realize that I'm also just a human and I'm not just my job. Stuff that makes you look at the shortness of life, not in a pessimistic way, but in such a way that makes you appreciate the small things and makes you see how far you've come. And it's sort of a feel good thing that makes me realize what true success really is in life rather than just booking a role.
What do you think the 10-year-old version of yourself would think about you right now?
I think she'd be ecstatic on one hand. The fact that I'm doing this as often as I am would just floor her. She would be like running and screaming and dancing around, so excited. She would also, though, be wondering why I haven't done more sword fights because that was the dream at the time. She was like, "Oh, if I'm gonna do movies, I'm gonna be like the badass heroine who's killing everybody and saving the day." And I haven't gotten to do that as much as I would like. So she'd be like, "Get on it."
If acting disappeared tomorrow, what part of you would still remain?
It'd be the stuff that drew me to acting, right? So I would be doing stuff that is still acting adjacent. It just, I have to. I would be the person who maybe I'd be writing a lot of songs more often, or maybe I'd write a lot of books like I used to, or maybe I like still a storyteller in a way. I feel like that's kind of who I am at my core. I'd probably be playing a lot more Dungeons and Dragons because I'd maybe have more time. And I don't know, I'm a person who loves laughing and talking with people. Even though I'm a bit of an introvert, I think talking to people when I feel like I'm actually connecting with them is like my favorite thing. And I don't know, maybe it's the homeschooler in me who gets really excited about making a new friend, or maybe it's like the mediator in me who loves finding solutions and like psychological breakthroughs. All these things that are very acting adjacent is like kind of who I am. So doing things like that, like just talking to people and playing pretend with them in some way or another, I don't know, storytelling, those things would probably satisfy the part of me that loves acting without acting.
What is the thing you love the most about acting?
I don't know why. I just love thinking about how other people think. And I love this and like imitating people. Like I love a good person who can do great impressions. I don't know why. I think it's fascinating if they can do a really good impression of a voice or a character or whatever. I find it fascinating because oftentimes, like me, when I do a good like an impression of someone, it's not because I'm thinking about it. It's just because it sort of comes out. It's because I just know how to like replicate something, how to parrot something. I think that's really cool and interesting just to know that there's something down inside of me innately that can do these things. I think that's also why I wanted to pursue acting is because like I don't know how I can do it, but it's like inside of me. I know it's there. I know I can act like someone else, or I don't know. I thought that was just cool. I like figuring out why people do things. And you have to do that when you're an actor. You have to justify all the things that you do, whether you're a bad guy or a good guy or whatever.
Has acting had helped you to understand more society?
Yeah, it has. I mean, my mind goes to this one class I took, and I didn't go to school, but I took classes at like a studio for a while, and had a teacher, a coach who had given me a scene from The Notebook, and of course it was like a dramatic scene, and I was giving it my all. I was trying to be really emotional, and I was trying to impress the teacher with how good I could act it or whatever. And he was kept stopping me and being like, I don't believe what's happening here. I want you to like let go, stop thinking so much, try again, try again. Then it wasn't happening. I don't know. I wasn't like giving him what he wanted. So finally he asked me some really difficult question. I don't remember what it was, but it was a question that I didn't know the answer to right away. So I was staring at the floor. I was already mortified because this is in front of a whole class. And I'm staring at the floor and I'm trying to think of the answer. And I was just drawing a blank. I couldn't think of anything. And they were all sitting there watching me. And then suddenly he says, that is more interesting to watch than the whole scene you were just doing. Is you just trying to think about something. And I don't know, that was like a wake up call for me in terms of like, what do people really want to see? It's not, they don't want to see, I mean, I guess some people do. I guess some people may want to turn on their television and watch some over the top, crazy, silly stuff, perhaps, but and that's not what I was even going for. I just realized that people like me at least, and like the coach and the people in our class, they just like watching people realize things or going through a process of I don't know. It's like just the human experience, and then I find it interesting. Like why do we find the human experience so interesting to watch when we're living it every day already? I'm trying to make that correctly tie into your exact question, but I feel like in a way that I can't put into words. It has made me realize things about the world, and watching a lot of films can also make you realize things about people, like not to judge people so quickly or just understand where people are coming from. That's kind of what it's helped me do.
Years from now, what truth about your acting journey do you hope people truly understand?
I mean, years from now, I hope I won't care so much what other people think of me, compared to what I do now. Now, I do want everyone to understand that it isn't easy being an actor. Sometimes it's got its perks, but really, and it's not easy making a gazillion self tapes every day and sending them into the void and not knowing when your next job will be. And it's not easy maintaining relationships with people while you have to up and leave and be on a set for weeks at a time and not have access to your phone, maybe, or so there's lots of things about it that are just not easy. But really, aside from that, I'm just happy if the people who are close to me and still know me and understand me, that makes me happy.
And in general, like what motivates you, right? We all have these days that basically we just want to quit. It's inevitable, happens to all of us. So how you stay focused on one of those days?
I'm thinking of my future self. I want to make my future self proud of the things that I've been doing. So there's so many times where, the days are so short, I can't get a fraction of the things done that I wanted to get done, and I'm feeling low motivation to even get up and do the things. But yeah, thinking about the whole of life, the whole of my lifetime does help me get up and do things because I want to be able to look back on it and I want to be able to be proud of myself more than anything about just all the experiences that I've been able to have. So I'm out here looking for really cool experiences, and they won't come to me. I have to go to them. I have to make them happen, and nothing will happen if I sit here. And I want to make the most of every day because life is so short.
And I mean, at the end, what can I say? You know, the fact you're doing this, it's pretty cool. The fact you're pursuing acting, I mean, it's badass enough. And I think the most cool thing is that you're doing it because you love it, right? We all know that focusing on something you love tends to be a little bit of a pain in the butt sometimes, right? And but hey, you are showing that dreams are possible, and I think that is super positive. And I think positivity is super important, especially now in these days, right? The fact that we can rely on people like you who are showing us that dreams can come true. That's super cool. And now I discover why you're badass. So yeah.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. I do want to thank also those who stayed the whole episode. Now by this point, come on. You should find out why. I mean, we should know now why Hanna's super badass. So let's make her viral. Hashtag Team Hanna. And again, thank you for making this happen. Keep shining out there. Keep rocking. Keep kicking ass. And I'll definitely be seeing you in the next one.
Thanks so much. Same to you.
All right.